Hi, Iggy.
Hey, can you hear me?
We
Yep,
can hear
what's
you,
going
Iggy.
on, Iggy?
Welcome to the show.
Cool. Awesome. I want to start this off by saying I'm a huge fan of Ethan. Uh, I literally created my YouTube account 8 years ago to add to my favorites the like warm it up. It's a 10 video because I wanted to show it to all my friends. So like super happy about that.
Thanks, bro.
And I guess I'm a fan of Austin and Hassan as well.
You don't have to mention that, but thank
Damn,
you.
bro.
Yeah,
Okay,
no,
it's
you don't gotta
sick.
do that. You don't got to do that. This is like the online version of when
Yeah,
people
you know-
ask for pictures in real life, and then they ask you to
Yeah.
get into it because they feel bad.
you know
It's all right.
who's not getting mod? Iggy for mod. That's who. Okay. How about
That's
that?
literally the only reason it's my name is because I want to be a mod.
Wow.
Come
Okay.
on. But I guess if I want to relate to Austin, I'm currently sitting in a closet because I don't want my roommate to hear what I'm about to say.
Oh my god! Like a
Like metaphorically, or are
proverbial-
we like
Yeah.
literally also?
No, like in a 2x2 closet.
Well,
Oh,
let's hear it. Well,
let's
if
hear it.
you're-
Well, this is.
Are you
this-
embarrassed for your roommate to hear it? Because you are talking to 40,000 plus people right now.
Yeah, but I don't know any of these losers.
Look, I
Yeah.
haven't been in a closet for 6 years. Okay.
All right, let's hear it.
Yeah, and sometimes I wish you went back in. So.
Oh, shit.
Fuck you.
So yeah, so I'm about to out myself with something. So I'm 32. I live in Las Vegas, and the reason I'm using my actual like username is because if anyone else has this issue, feel free to message me like on Twitch or Discord. But anyway, so I have HSV2, which is herpes, and a lot of people, we're in a very large community, so
1 in
a lot of
5.
people here, yeah, 1 in 5.
It means you've
maybe up
gotten
to 1 in
laid.
3. It does mean I've gotten laid. So basically how I got it was about 6 years ago. I was dating a girl, and she was very upfront about it. And I took my time, to do all the research about, what that would actually mean if I were to contract it, etc. And we used protection for probably 6 months, but I was like pretty sure that this was going to be maybe a future wife or a long-term partner. So I was like, all right, we can just go without protection, and if it happens, it happens, And of course it happened, and then like 2 months after that we broke up, and so I just felt like totally alone in my world. And so now I'm, a single guy. I was 26 at the time, and I'm just like, oh man, I have herpes and this sucks, and now like, my life is over. I'm never going to be able to date anyone. And it took me probably like 2 or 3 years to actually finally go on dates again because I was so afraid of how to actually disclose it. And since then I've had several partners, and it's never really been a problem with disclosing or anything like that. I feel like I have like a pretty good method of how to disclose, but I actually recently went on a date from someone I matched with online, and it didn't go well, and she was like disgusted by me, and she was like, this was a terrible time to tell me, and blah blah blah. And I was just like, okay, well, that sucks, because I've literally only had like 2 or 3 times that it
terrible
wasn't a good conversation.
Sorry, go ahead.
And so I guess, the 3 of you have all dated. Hassan and Austin are like regularly sexually active, and so I'm sure this conversation has come up quite a bit. It's also possible that one of you have it, and don't need to obviously express your own health issues or anything like that. But I guess like when it comes to dating, and it's a little tough since you're all men, so it's like maybe we're willing to put our precautions aside because like we want to have sex, obviously, like that's the end goal. But for me, disclosing it to a woman, especially like if it's something that I really want to be with, it almost feels like it's taking me out of dating, because I'm just like so nervous of having to deal with that, and the whole like the anxiety of having to deal with that conversation is awful, and it's just such a shitty feeling. Even though like I'm not like I don't have like active herpes, like I have never actually transmitted it to someone, as far as I know. And I've actually, been with people who have had herpes, like when I've disclosed it to them, which is always kind of a weird conversation because then I'm like, oh, by the way, like I have herpes, and then they're like, oh, I do too, and it's like, were you gonna tell me? Like that's kind of a little bit sussy, but
So first of all,
yeah,
it's just let me just gotta start off by saying thank you for saying I'm sexually active. That was very nice of you.
Well, hold on. You excluded me, and I'll say my wife is pregnant. I'm the only one that has physical proof to say, "Hey, I'm sexually active." You guys don't even, you know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
but
Like you guys can say, "Oh yeah, I get laid," but I'm the only one that has evidence
but
of
Okay.
that.
I feel like there's sexually active and then there's married. You know what I mean? I think they're two separate categories.
Yeah, I know what he meant. I'm just
You're-
kidding.
you're-
Okay. First and foremost, so when I was younger, I had a scare where someone told me that they had it after the fact. Okay. And I was terrified. And so I went to the doctor, I got like tested. But before this process started, I went through the steps of rationalizing like what the problem was with herpes in general. So since then, I think I have a very like open-minded approach to this, and I think you'll understand where I'm coming from, especially as someone with herpes, right? First of all,
You have herpes?
if you no, but if you,
Oh.
I did not, but I went through the rationalization process to be like, what if I have it? Like, what if I have it? Like, what is the big problem with it? And what I came to the conclusion was that the stigma associated with it exclusively revolves around the fact that it's a sexually transmitted disease. Because ultimately, you see it all the time. People call it cold sores, right? Like that's herpes. I've had herpes in the sense that I've had shingles. That's herpes, right? It's a form of herpes. But the reason why shingles does not have the same kind of stigma associated with it, and the reason why people don't even realize that like cold sores are fucking quite literally herpes, and don't realize it. And also, one is type 2, one's type 1. Obviously, most people have a type 1, but a lot of people have type 2 as well. Okay. Chickenpox is also herpes. The reason why people don't have that kind of stigma associated with it is because it's not supposedly like about promiscuity. But ultimately, what the fuck is it? It's a zit. Okay. It's like an aggressive zit. That's all this is. So I walked through the steps on my own and realized that like at the end of the day, even if I did have it, which luckily I didn't, but if I did, then it wouldn't be that big of a deal. Type 2 hurts your cock though. Okay, well.
It's definitely like it can be an aggressive zit, like you say, but like most people who have herpes, they have one initial outbreak and then they never have it again. But the problem with that is like you are still shedding for the rest of your life, and it's always possible that you can pass that on, which is just kind of shitty because it's like I don't have bumps on my dick, I don't like if I've since my like initial outbreak, like I've never had any flare-ups, I've never had any issues whatsoever. So it's not like a woman's looking at my dick and she's like, it's like covered in like herpes bumps. Like, I don't want to have sex with you. Like, for all intents and purposes, I have a very normal penis. And so
Isn't isn't there
it's not
medicine
like
you can take that like prevents you from passing it to a partner?
there is. And like I've always gone into a relationship that like I'm starting with like, hey, like I'm willing to take I think it's called Valtrex. It's like a once a day medicine. It lowers your chance to pass it, but it doesn't eliminate it. So like again, you're still rolling the dice if you're gonna have unprotected
Look,
sex, even
at
while
the end of
taking
the day, you got this thing. You can't eliminate the stigma, even knowing that it's like a weird cosmetic thing that comes up once in a while. It doesn't really harm anyone. I mean, it doesn't. It's not really harmful to the health in a
I think
serious
it
sense.
increases the likelihood, like, I mean, it's like every other thing. It increases the likelihood that you can possibly get cancer, I believe. But there are some complications that come with it, but it's not like the stigma associated with it, it does not match the actual fucking consequences. If that makes sense. Because like people are like, oh, you're dead. It's over. Your life is over. You're done.
No, but I
Like what you
understand.
just described. It's not
Makes
is not
dating hard.
at all.
It,
And
it
that's how
makes
I
dating
felt
hard.
too when I first like got it, because I was like, I like cried about it, and I was like, oh my god, my life is over. And then you start researching it, and it's like literally like the one of the worst things that can happen with it is actually for women, and it's if they were to have an active herpes outbreak while they're giving birth, and they
Yeah.
can pass it to the child. But it's very rare because you would have to actually like have an active herpes outbreak going on, and then if that were to happen, you know, worst case scenario, they just do a C-section, and it's, you know, not terrible. But
Yeah, I mean,
obviously I understand that's a whole different conversation. But it's obviously like a worse thing for a woman to have to make the decision about than a man, because like you said, like I think the worst thing that really happens for a man if you have like a habitual bad case of herpes is that, yeah, you might be like more susceptible to cancers, and I think it has some issues with your kidney. So, you know,
but
I'm not concerned about
in
it, but
truth,
the harder part.
all you can do is disclose. Disclosing is a very nice thing. I mean, there's psychos out there that don't disclose. I mean, that's crazy. But like, if you're
Yeah.
disclosing, you're a good guy. Your partners will appreciate it.
I gotta
Obviously,
pee. I'll be back.
some women
Go
are
on.
gonna have a negative reaction, like what happened to you recently, and okay, fine, moving on. You know what I mean? That's what it is. I mean, you so you just got to disclose and find the right person who either has herpes already or who, uh understands and is okay taking on that risk. What can you do, you know? Aren't there dating sites for people with genital herpes too?
Yeah, I went on one, and it was not a great experience, just because it's like it's almost like, you know, you're lumping yourself into just like one group of people, and it while it's like, I guess it's okay because then you don't have to deal with the whole like situation of like, oh, you know, I'm disclosing and all this kind of stuff. It's like I don't want to have to just like pick from a specific pool of people just because of this,
Yeah.
even though
So
like, maybe it
I would
is more helpful.
I would you just got to disclose, man. It sucks. It's a shitty situation. You just got to disclose. I guess the question is, how long do you wait, right?
Right.
Maybe
Yeah.
it's hard because you feel like, oh, well, they're going to bail if I tell them right away.
Well, yeah, that's I guess that was like ultimately like my main question, because it's like I don't want to like lead off with like, hey, like here's my opener, and also like, by the way, I have herpes, so like, you know, do you
What?
want to still date me? But at the same time, it's like you wait too long, and then are you like betraying someone's trust, or are you like not saying it at the right time? And then like I obviously like always say it way before I'm gonna have sex or anything like that, because, you know, I don't want to be like getting ready to have sex and then be like, hey, by the way, like this is what's up, because that's super disingenuous.
Sorry about that. I
No,
was
that's cool.
listening.
Yeah, no, and I mean, I'm sure Austin has to deal with this, but in a much higher regard.
I don't have herpes. I don't have herpes. I haven't I haven't dealt with this in any regard really, but it's very informative.
Are you mad at that girl who gave it to you?
Yeah, sometimes, but like at the same time, it was my decision to have unprotected sex with her, because, you know, that's the male. I don't know. That's just what I wanted to do. Like, um, but the reason I brought it up about you, Austin, is because like
Oh,
obviously in the gay community, HIV
yes,
is a
yes,
much bigger
yes,
issue,
yes.
and the
Yeah.
difference between HIV and HSV or herpes is like two polar opposites. Like one, they both stick with you for life, but one of them can be pretty poor quality of life. And but I mean, they've made a huge medical advances, like where a lot of gay men live with HIV, and it's not really a big deal to their
Right.
lives.
But the thing is, I'd say as a gay man, the biggest fear would be HIV for sure.
Yeah.
But they do have a drug called PrEP, which is extremely uh, successful at preventing HIV infection, from what I understand. Um, But all STDs are a fear, of course. You know, you just have to practice safe sex and communicate well with your partner, which I think you're doing the right thing. It's just a matter of finding the right people. And I really look down on that girl who reacted the way she did.
Yeah, I mean,
Like,
she's just that's just fucked
yeah,
up.
like what should I have told you after we had sex? You know what I mean? Like, would that have been a better time?
Well, can I pry a little bit? Like, how long were you guys dating before you told her?
Oh, we went on 3 dates, and then, like, I was pretty sure that we were out, like, getting ice cream, and, like, I was pretty sure we were gonna go back to my house and have sex, and I was like, "Hey, by the way, like, before we head to my house, like, this is the right time to disclose." I never like to disclose, like, anywhere close to, like, the actual, you know, act of sex is gonna be happening, because I feel like that's disingenuous. But yeah, it was basically like I told her, and then she was like, "Yeah, fuck this," and that's disgusting. And so yeah, sucked. But you know, if she was like that
Well,
about that, then, like, it would suck about other things too. So
Bro,
I
you're a
wouldn't let that
G. Don't worry about it. She wasn't the
Yeah,
right person.
exactly.
Who cares? You know what I mean?
You did the
yeah,
right thing. It sucks she reacted that way. I wouldn't let it discourage you from just keep doing your thing. I mean, she should have been like, "Thanks for telling me," you know? Damn. I mean, she's kind of like, did you a favor. She's not a good partner.
Yeah, anyone who reacts that way when you are, you're doing the right thing, anyone who reacts that way obviously is not like the greatest person, you know what I mean? Or technically she might have never uh
Yeah.
like the reality is like she statistically speaking, if she's active sexually, she's probably been with people that literally have herpes and have not told her. You know what I mean?
She probably has herpes.
So you're doing the right thing, and if her reaction is that way, then she's obviously not put a lot of thought into it, or she's like not a very nice person. So either way, you dodged a bullet.